I've taken to call it this $1,000 brain switch, meaning if you can learn how to make $1,000, and I'm not even put a timeline on it. It's just to make $1,000. That I think it's dramatically alters the way you think about life. And I've been, really talking about or thinking about ways to help other people get to this point. And I've been this framework I've been using is like entrepreneurship. It's kind of being like off the grid, meaning you're not relying on someone else to provide your paycheck, your healthcare, all this kind of stuff. But also it ties into your, how can you make that first $1,000 to prove to yourself and your brain and your inner judge that I can make it. I made $1,000. Now, how do I
do it again?
I can do it again and over and over. And maybe it took you 6 months to make that $1,000, but it's such a milestone. Then you can work on, okay, how do I now make $1,000 in 3 months? How do I make $1,000 in a month? How do I make $1,000 in 2 weeks? So
this is interesting. I think we've all heard people, wealthy people, say my first million was the hardest.
Yeah, of course.
But that's something that's unfathomable to someone who
it's not very accessible.
It's not accessible. That's the right word.
It's not.
But the $1,000. It's the same switch, by the way. The first million versus the first $1,000.
Exactly the same thing.
Put whatever number you want in there. It's the same switch. Yes.
Yeah. And you can do it. Like I put it in a newsletter recently. Ways to get there. You can buy stuff and sell it. That's great. There's all kinds of ways to do that. I've done that my whole life. You can sell your talent if you're a musician, if you're an artist, one of my favorite examples is years ago, I got a gift and it was a couple of frame prints, and I love to fish. And they were just prints of these beautiful fish, but they were printed on top of old, like an old book, a page from an old book. In this case, it was all about fishing. And so they had this beautiful thing. And if you go to Etsy, you can get anything you can imagine printed on an old piece of, book, a dictionary, an encyclopedia, whatever it is. And there are people that sell these pages for anywhere from like $10 to $20. But if you look at the volume they sell, they're making thousands of dollars a month selling this. Oh yeah, you want me to print a picture of a fish on a piece of, a dictionary, encyclopedia? It's just right in front of us. Easy things that are easy to do, and then like selling your expertise. If you're good at something and somebody needs help and figuring things out. But I just think that, and I think that accessibility is the right answer, and that you hit on it. And maybe that's like, there's a great show called a great podcast called My First Million. These guys are tremendously successful. I have a ton of respect for them, but it's such a high bar that you're setting to start. It's like
I was going to say there's a lot of people. I would say most people out there think they will never make $1 million.
Correct. And so my framework thought process more is like, let's make the 1,000 first, and then and we've repeated this ad nauseum over the years. You make the 1,000. Then you can learn to make 10,000. Then you can learn to make 20, and then you can learn to make 30, because you learn it. It's like a muscle. It's just getting started. It doesn't matter what you do, and it doesn't, more than likely, you won't make any money at the beginning, but you're learning,
you're training yourself that that you can create value for other people. Yes,
you can do it, and you're going to make mistakes. Our philosophy: mistakes are tuition, and then you're just going to keep going and going. And so embracing this concept of, where is my $1,000 brain switch? Where is it? What can I do?